Welcome to this episode of our program, Daily Debate. As usual, we will be discussing an important debate. Today we'll be speaking on the 76th United Nations General Assembly meetings that took place. A meeting or two meetings were held today, one on the Sustainable Development or the SDGs and the other on climate change. Both President Sisi was very much keen to address attendance with statements, with special statements and participation from Egypt while he was addressing the attendance or the countries participating in this session. The President said that Egypt was very keen to settle the Sustainable Development Goals and to merge it in its development programs and policies in all aspects since a very long time. In his speech, the head of state said that Egypt's Vision 2030 national agenda announced by the government was a comprehensive frame for Egypt's efforts in adopting the UN Sustainable Development Goals, the SDGs. He stressed that achieving the SDGs became more important nowadays more than ever to face the international challenges, especially with the spread of COVID-19 pandemic. In 2016, the President launched Egypt's Sustainable Development Strategy, or rather Egypt's Vision 2030, that aimed at placing Egypt among the world's top 30 countries in terms of economic and social development. Today we'll be speaking about, or in our first segment, we'll be addressing the first session, or the Sustainable Development Goals, and how Egypt has managed to put or to be part and partial of the countries adopting a vision for that aim. In our second segment, we'll be speaking about the President's participation in the climate change session, in which he welcomed the world in the upcoming session of the, or rather summit of climate change that will be held here in Egypt. Egypt will be hosting this summit for or on behalf of the whole African continent, and during his speech he welcomed the attendance in the next session of the climate change, and he said that Egypt will be or such a summit will be a focal point in the work of climate change, in participation with all concerned parties for the interests of the African continent and the world at large. He also said that, or urged the developed countries and big powers to reduce gas emissions according to the terms of the Paris Accord and the climate change international agreements, especially after the wide forests fires that took place in several countries, and because of a real threat that is facing the whole human being or humanity on Earth. We'll be speaking about that and its reflection on sustainable development. We'll be speaking about that with our dear guest, Dr. Ahmed-Eddine Adly, head of the Sustainable Development or Egyptian Sustainable Development Forum. Thank you so much for being with us.
Thank you very much for inviting me.
Thank you so much. Before we delve into our discussion, let's first have a quick look on the President's statements, or first statements in or for sustainable development, and come back.
In the name of God, most gracious, most compassionate, Mr. Guterres, the General Secretary of the United Nations, ladies and gentlemen, it's a pleasure to participate in this meeting today that's convened in this actual moment, witnessed by the whole world, in confirmation on the importance paid by our countries to enhance the efforts of achieving development, especially Sustainable Development Goals, SDGs, that the whole international community agreed on, and consider it as a comprehensive framework that achieves welfareness for the peoples.
وصولا إلى العام
during the current decade reaching 2030. Ladies and gentlemen,
إن نجاحنا في تحقيق
our success in achieving SDGs
بات يكتسب اليوم
gained today
أهمية متزايدة
a growing importance comparing to any time ever,
لا سيما في هذا الظرف الدولي
especially in this international moment that imposes
تحديات عالمية
on us to face international challenges that are very difficult.
جائحة كورونا
In addition to the spread of COVID,
طالت
which added unprecedented aspects in all the countries.
بتحقيق
Beside all the relevant challenges to achieve sustainable development and increase growth, eliminate poverty and provide job opportunities, in addition to the complicated political situations in many regions around the world. Climate change, its reverse impacts on water availability, food security, and the threat imposed by COVID on economic, social, and health situations all over the world. All of them are daily challenges that require tackling them in a comprehensive and sustainable manner in order to maintain the outcomes of development achieved over the past decades. Out of this, I'd like to confirm that on different and important points. First, the events in the whole world for over almost 2 years proved that it's inevitable to deal with the 2030 agenda and its goals according to a comprehensive perspective, taking into consideration the intersection between economic and social fields that are tackled by these goals. This perspective seeks achieving the utmost benefit by the 2030 agenda, including opportunities for international cooperation to fund development, whether on a multilateral level or the bilateral cooperation, including countries, financing institutions, and banks. In taking into consideration the national ownership of each country for their policies and development programs. Second, out of this importance, Egypt was keen on, very early on, to localize the SDGs and integrate them in its development policies and programs at all levels. This result produced Egypt Vision 2030 as a framework for states' efforts in this field. Egypt also quickly submitted its voluntary reports on the implementation of sustainable development goals implementation. Last of them was the report submitted during the past session at a high-level political forum in July 2021. Out of its conviction of the importance of reviewing the progress made at the national level, especially on creating a national environment that support the development and the positive improvements witnessed by the program of socioeconomic reform. Out of our keen on exchanging experience in this regard. Third, very early on, Egypt realized that the aim of any efforts exerted by the state to achieve development is the citizen. Hence, Egypt designed its policies and development programs positioning the interest of the Egyptian citizen at the core in order to respond their aspirations in decent living, housing, and work. This vision was crystallized in the initiative of Decent Life that I launched recently. It's considered one of the most ambitious development programs as it achieves sustainable development, including in the Egyptian country, where the majority of the Egyptian people live in a way that enhance the efforts of the state in achieving regional and national balanced development and to mobilize the needed investments to improve the quality of life, eliminate poverty, and reduce unemployment. Fourth, the success achieved by Egypt at these aspects over the past years was only achieved by sacrifices through which the Egyptian citizen proved their ability to bear up the difficulties in order to build their country and achieve their legitimate aspirations.
ولا تزال مصر
Egypt,
تواصل بخطى ثابتة
with steady steps and despite all the challenges, continues to implement its ambitious program on economic reform
في عام 2016
that started in 2016 in cooperation with the International Monetary Fund. The results of this program prove that the Egyptian vision is valid
متطلبات
regarding the priorities and requirements of economic reform.
إشادة دولية
It was also praised by the international community and international funding organizations and credit rating organizations also.
تبعات جائحة كورونا.
It also enabled the Egyptian economy to bear up the consequences of COVID-19.
للتخفيف من
It also enabled the government to mitigate the reverse effects of this pandemic. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm confident that our deliberations today
الأفكار والمقترحات
and the outcomes of different constructive ideas will enhance our efforts in achieving the Sustainable Development Goals and to find creative solutions for the obstacles facing the humanitarian international cooperation, especially with the reduction of the official aids,
أقل نمواً
which caused a financing gap facing all the developing countries, especially African countries. In this regard, we are looking forward to keep participating in this very important international effort in order to achieve our mutual goals towards a better tomorrow.